for an ecology test that we're going to be taking. And I'm going to share my screen here. Go to paper for today. Pull it up. Right, here it is. A little bit bigger. It's like a little bigger than this. All right, so we've been doing ecology here since Christmas, and we came back from Christmas. Here I have 8 questions, and we need to, I don't know if it might be kind of hard for you guys, just it's been about a month we've been studying this, so it might be a little challenging for you guys to be able to kind of come up with, remember some of this material. But the first thing we started out with was adaptations, Charles Darwin. And when you hear those words, you should think about kind of what Darwin was, kind of what he discovered. And he went to the Galapagos 1830s, and he was on a schooner. He was a fairly young man, and he ran into these birds, finches, on the island. And he, pull one up real quick, but the finches on the Galapagos had these different features. They had big beaks. They had small beaks. Here's an example of the heavier beak. And these beaks were good at. Here's just right. Hopefully this one pops up nicely for me. Here we go. So here is the here's the medium ground finch, and here's the ground finch. And then you have the cactus. This finch had evolved a beak that could kind of work its way into to kind of get the nectar out of cactuses that were on the island. And these finches evolved a beak that enabled the bird to crush seeds and survive off of the seeds that were on the island. And he was not aware that all these birds had originated from one finch that had arrived a couple million years prior. And in recent years, the last 40 years, it's been discovered that through DNA evidence that they all came from one finch. And what happened was, these finches went through the term of what's called speciation, because they developed the finches that had the heavier beaks were able to crush the seeds just through, if you have a population of birds, some birds' beaks are going to be a little bigger, some beaks are going to be a little smaller, just naturally. And over time, the ones with the bigger beaks survived, and the ones with the beaks that were narrower, they kind of focused on being around the cactus, and these birds with the heavier beaks focused being near the ground, on the ground with the seeds. And so it just showed over the course of time, they began to kind of develop more thoroughly these traits. And so these birds don't even associate with each other anymore. They're different species, and they don't recognize each other as mates. And so that's how species is defined, is whether the bird can reproduce with each other or not. And so these birds, the cactus finch and the ground finch, don't even think of each other as potential partners. And that's how speciation occurs. It could be, say, like the llamas that are in South America and the giraffe camels that are in Africa at one point in time were the same species, but through millions of years being separated, one group being on the continent of South America and the other being the continent of Africa. Okay, they developed into separate because of the distance between each other. So again, Darwin, when he went to the Galapagos, unaware of this relationship between these birds, but these birds have shown how speciation occurs, how evolution occurs. Another question we have in the review for today is the kind of the adaptations that the Australian animals have developed and versus the African animals. African animals, obviously, much more competitive environment for survival, and their adaptations they have the cheetah that's extremely fast, you have the elephant that's extremely big, you have the lions, which is incredible athletic hunters, you have the gazelles, which are extremely fast, and we look at Australia, the kangaroos, koala bears, some of them are kind of comical, and they're not even close to having the same abilities and adaptations to survive. They don't live nearly as a competitive. They don't have the predators to worry about. So they're very energy efficient. They can deal with the heat, and they don't have. And it really kind of shows how evolution will really focus on enabling a species to survive. Okay, question 5 here, species, community, and ecosystems. Again, species, this is kind of the order going all the way up. First you have a species, it's just they're the same animal. They can reproduce with each other. Community is a group of different animals that live together. And then you have an ecosystem, which is a combination of all different types of species of animals, also all different types of plant life, all different types of non-living non-living things like water, rocks, what's called abiotic organisms. Again, the living things are the biotic organisms, and the abiotic are the non, but again, an ecosystem just combines all of them together where living things are. And again, we've already talked about what a species is. Biosphere, we talked about this quite a bit. Okay, and again, it's all different types of ecosystems, in the biosphere, and it's very easily defined as where all living creatures live on Earth, the range that we're all living in. Where we talked about the Marianas Trench, you have organisms that are deep down in the Marianas Trench, and you have the Ruppel's vulture flying 30-some thousand feet. Okay, so from there, 30-some thousand feet to about 5 or 6 miles down into the Marianas Trench, you have between those two organisms, we're all living creatures. That's the biosphere on Earth. Okay, that's number 7. 8, what is the difference between abiotic and biotic? And we've already talked about that. Abiotic are non-living, very simple, and the biotic are living items. So this is the first review. We're going to have a test coming up Friday next week, and we're going to start preparing each day. We're going to be doing some reviews, so we're not taking, maybe do some practice questions. The test potentially will be fairly challenging, so we need to really prepare for it. So hopefully you're able to kind of pull some information, this will help you start remembering this stuff, and hopefully we learned something. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.